Leanne, Jermaine and Theo here from Monkey and Barefoot. Hello Theo. And we wanted to talk to you about flying with a baby. We've recently taken our first flight with Theo, and so just wanted to share with you kind of what we did, what worked for us. I think that's it.
Yeah, and I think that it's a really big thing, isn't it? When you've got that youngster and you do your first flight overseas, and a lot of people tend to go for a shorter trip.
Yeah.
You know, important context from us is that we went for a longer trip. So Theo is about 5.5 months old. He's 6 months, I think, next week.
Yeah.
And so we've done is it roughly 9 hours?
Yeah, 9 hours.
Yeah. So we did a 9-hour long haul flight from London Gatwick into Orlando. Or into it was into Fort Lauderdale. And we did a drive as well, actually, up to Orlando. So we can talk a bit about the drive as well.
Yeah,
actually.
that's true.
So we've now got some really useful experience, I think, in how to pack for Theo, how to kind of pack for ourselves and to kind of get ourselves ready, and how to kind of just navigate all of that time in that really small space with a baby. And also, I mean, when we got off the flight, we then had a 3-hour kind of 200-odd mile drive up from Fort Lauderdale into Orlando, which we did in one shot as well. So we've got that kind of experience also, right?
Yeah, we do. So we've got kind of the whole travel experience from home to the airport.
Yeah.
Here, then flying and the long drive.
Yeah. So I mean,
following the flight.
That's it. So I mean, we've got, you know, some useful, hopefully some useful reflections that we can kind of. It'd be good to kind of just touch on those and see what we've learned and what we'd kind of take forward, huh?
Yes, most definitely.
So where do you want to kick off?
So should we kick off? Let's kick off on our principles for packing.
Go on.
For Theo. So we knew that we'd obviously need to take stuff for Theo on the plane plus stuff for ourselves, but we obviously now have a baby, and so wanted to make sure that we could one person can take all of the hand luggage and one person can focus on the baby. So we had to really think hard about what bags we'd take, the types of bags that we would take, kind of how many. And so so our overriding principle through all of that was to just try and be adaptable.
Yeah, I mean the reason for it, and for me personally, is I just figure when you're in airports and they're potentially so busy and you might kind of be fending people away a little bit from your baby and all the rest. Plus, you've also just got to. It just feels like you need to kind of move a lot and you need to be kind of somewhat quick on your feet. It was important for us, even though you carry a lot of stuff, just to make sure one person can always give Theo like just 100% care. Yeah. So what we kind of said was, all right, well, if you assume that Leanne takes Theo, how do we make sure we've got everything we need, but I can still carry easily, but also have that one hand free? And, you know, like we're a big thing for us as parents is we really have a hands-free policy. You know, when we go out, we don't carry things in our hands, we have a pouch, and it's not fashionable, but our hands are clear. And when it comes to working as a team with a baby, it's good to know you can kind of just really pass the baby over quickly, and the other person can just take him and really get on with it, because we haven't got anything on our hands.
No, it's true. Not even that. Even if Theo needs anything,
like
dummy, muslin, anything like that, you just need free hands to be able to get those things.
100%. So we have those kind of principles, and that really impacted what we chose to take as our, as our cases.
Yes.
So we have, and it's actually very similar. If you go onto our website, which is www.monkeyandbarefoot.com, you'll see an article on there that talks about the hospital bag and what it is we found really helpful to pack in the hospital bag. And we talk a bit about how we kind of see the cases fitting together. So you start off with a wheelie case, then with a hold all on top, and you have a smaller shoulder bag. And so we've pretty much had a very similar thing when it came to Theo. Come down, Monk. So the case that we actually carried for him, got it here. This very funky 4-wheeled overhead locker case. And our view was quite simply have something that is on 4 wheels, which means that it can move easily. Have something that's got lots of space, because we knew we just wanted to make sure we had everything we needed for him without having to kind of second guess ourselves too much.
Just everything all in one place. So we knew as long as we've got that one bag, we've got everything we need for Theo.
Absolutely. And so then, and we also then had our other bags for ourselves, but we'll touch on that afterwards. But we essentially made sure that was our base. But why don't you talk a bit about what we actually put in the bag and what we kind of took from it in terms of what to pack for him on our trip.
Yeah.
Hello.
So I think the main thing that we really thought about to go in Theo's luggage was his food. So as Jermaine said, we were on a 9-hour flight. So Theo was going to eat at least, say, it's like 3 or 4 times on that flight. So we need to make sure that we had enough food for him. And so what we did was we had the ready-mixed pre-made bottles of formula. Ready-mixed pre-made bottles of formula, because they're just so easy to use, aren't they? You just give them a shake, pour them into a bottle, and they're good to go. There's no warming, no cooling, nothing like that. They're just ready to go at room temperature. So we used those. And for his bottles, we actually bought pre-sterilised disposable bottles, and they were actually great. I'd use them every single time we travel now because they really were just fantastic.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, you grab it.
Yeah.
You can see that we have to pass the
Yeah.
beer around quickly.
This is why you need free hands.
Let me just try to bring it to life a little bit with the food. So, so one thing. So I'm quite keen that Theo always has loads of food. Not that he necessarily has to eat it.
No.
But
just
it's just that's one thing that we can't compromise on, right? Because he can't eat adults' food.
No, it's not like we can just pick him up something from anywhere. He needs this formula.
So what we decided was we in the bag we did. Hang on, let me pick him up. So in the bag we did actually decide to have we had powdered milk as well, but we also decided to go, and this is the American version actually. So we've just actually bought it's Similac, but I mean you've got Aptamil that you can get in the UK or Cow and Gate. There's the whole milk industry is very highly regulated in the UK, so all of the milks are all quite similar. And what we made sure we did was to carry a whole tub, bless you, Theo, a whole tub of powder for him, just in case we had to make up any powdered milk. We carried, I think it was 12 bottles of pre-made milk, and we also just went on Amazon, and I've just got like a spare one here, and bought these SteriFeed bottles and the SteriFeed tips, and we had 8 of those packed. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, chip in here as well, right? Yeah. The principles that we wanted to have here were whatever food we felt Theo needed, we tried to carry, kind of 1.5 to 2 times more.
Yeah, that's completely right.
Go on.
Whatever he needed, we definitely wanted to bring more because you never know whether you're going to be delayed. You may circle over an airport for an hour or something like that before you land. So we knew that we kind of needed to have enough food just to give us that buffer.
Well, that's it. And I guess when we look at the amount of time that kind of really elapsed, so we ended up we woke Theo up kind of about an hour earlier than he usually would get up in the morning. We left home at 6.
And we wanted to feed him before we left.
Yeah, so we did everything that we needed at home. We used at home to take care of him. But then when you look at when we left our home at 6 p.m. and we had kind of really settled into the holiday, kind of into the new hotel, kind of nearer 6 a.m., you're really looking at quite a big window of time of travelling from home to airport, waiting in airport, doing the flight. It then kind of took. We actually only got to our rental car 3 hours after the flight landed.
Yes.
So if you remember, it took ages going through the airport.
It's true because you've got to go through kind of customs and immigration, then you have to pick up your luggage.
So you've got all the normal steps, but there were just a couple of steps that just took particularly long. It was just one of those things.
Yeah.
And then we had a kind of a 3 hour and change drive. So when you put it all together, we're kind of actually looking, thinking, well, he's really got 24 hours worth of feeding time that we need to be really comfortable with. And so for him, he would normally have up to about 6 bottles in 24 hours. So we decided just to bump that up. So we made sure we were covered for 12.
Yes.
We also took a little bit of solid food.
Yes, we took some solid food because he's now, starting on his solids.
That's it. And I think it just gave a huge amount of confidence.
Yeah.
And rather than kind of have it all disparate, we just bought these little cool bags. And so as soon as we got on the plane, we literally had these parcelled up with a few bottles, a few of these Steri-Feed bottles, a few of his instant milks, a sachet of food, a spoon. We also got these disposable bibs, which actually I'm not a massive fan of.
No, I wouldn't recommend them.
I think you could. These ones were from Boots, and for me they're a bit too papery. And my concern was that if he ate them and any of the tissue kind of came off in his mouth, he would have a problem with it.
Yeah, eating them was the main concern, but also they're not very strong. And he likes to grab things, so he could easily just pull it straight off. So it wasn't really that practical either.
That's true. I think if like doing it again. You can buy really cheap bibs. I mean, like we bought some in Asda. It may even be these ones actually. I think we bought these in Asda, and it was something silly like 7 bibs for £2 or something.
Yeah, it was.
I would sooner just buy a pack of those, and then you can easily wash them in the sink when you get to a hotel as well.
Yeah, that's very true. They are much better.
Which are much better.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had these little cool bags, and it just had his instant milk in it, his Steri-Feed bottles, his bibs, and so it was brilliant because it meant that as soon as either of us wanted to go and feed him, rather than faffing around with too much, we could just pull down the cool bag, and instantly we've got all of his food ready. And for us, we immediately looked and said, we tried to factor in all the time around the flight. We figured that we wanted to be comfortable for at least 1 day's worth of travel.
Yes.
And we basically packed food to pretty much cover him for 2, and that seemed just fine.
Yeah, and I think that was a good plan to have, because also when you kind of get to your hotel, then you know that you're set up if you if you arrive late in the evening or something like that, and you don't want to do your washing and your sterilising, then you've got enough to see you through to
That's
the
a
next
big point,
morning as
actually.
well. Because you could be tired. We didn't know how Theo was going to react to all of that travelling, so to have one less thing to think about when we got to the hotel.
That's a really big point, actually. That is a really big point, because I guess travelling with a baby when you're flying, but particularly long haul, it's not just about the trip out there. Because say for a lot of us, if you do long haul, most of the people that we know kind of tend to come to America.
Yeah.
Well, realistically, you may want to buy a lot of your things in the States.
Yes.
But of course, you might not be having the energy to actually go out. So to know that you've got your bottles already sterilised, because these Steri-Feeds, they're all already sterilised.
Yes.
Knowing you've already got your milk made up, massive kind of headache saver, and it just means that food was just not an issue really.
We just didn't have to think about it, and it just worked so well having everything.
So in our case, I mean, we're almost taking you through the kind of build-up of our little case here. We had some muslin cloths, and everyone knows that muzzies are kind of the
essential.
the most essential item for any baby.
Anywhere without muslin.
So we had those on the bottom of our case, plus a little blanket for him. We then, at the bottom of the case, that's the base. Then packing from the bottom, we had a couple of these cool bags with his Steri-Feed bottles and his pre-made milk.
Yes.
We had another small bag with some toys. I mean, this is one of the things. I mean, people have probably heard of these LeMay's toys.
Yes. Theo loves them.
He seems to love them because it's got things that make noises that he can eat and he can pull off, and it's colourful. And so we had a small bag with those.
We tried to get ones that weren't too noisy, because we obviously didn't want to disturb people around us. So we thought of kind of these ones that don't play music or anything like that.
Correct.
He still enjoys them.
But that's a really important point as well, because another thing that kind of made the flight better is the fact. I mean, we seemed to get on okay with the people who were around us, but we tried to be quite considerate as much as you can do of any noise we were making as well.
Yeah.
And that seemed just to create a nicer atmosphere overall.
Yeah, good few toys to keep Theo entertained.
Then the other thing that's well worth pointing out, we're just looking at the travel essentials now, is his travel changing bag. So the hilarious story is I wanted a small transparent bag, a much smaller one than this, for another trip that I took recently. I ended up buying this 4-pack, I think from Amazon. It was fairly cheap. But actually, this ended up being perfect.
Oh, it was great.
Right?
Yeah.
Go on, why was it so great? You seem to love it.
I do love it, only because it's a good size. You've got everything in there, and it's got handles,
Yeah.
which is just really handy when you're trying to carry a baby through those narrow aisles.
Yeah.
You obviously want to grip onto him tightly because he wriggles. So you've got the handles, throw it over your shoulder. It's big enough for everything, and you're good to go.
Yeah, and we seem to do pretty well with it. So within the bag, so Leanne had bought this new. It's just a travel changing mat,
Yeah.
which is a bit bigger than the one that we had previously, and it seemed to work pretty well. We had some spare clothes in this yellow bag here. Got pretty standard. His nappy bags, his wipes. This is his sun cream, which we actually just put in earlier today. His Sudocreme, his pads, his nappies, and for me the most important thing, quite honestly, the Milton wipes.
Yes.
So we'll cover why I think these are the most important thing in a minute. I rave about these Milton wipes now.
We both love them.
But just in terms of this bag, yeah, you can get this 4-pack on Amazon. We'll try and put links into the article below, into the video below. We had everything in here was packed pretty standard. The only thing we really put thought into, I think, was the nappies.
The number of them.
Because it is exactly right. We just had to think, how many nappies did we want?
Yes.
And we'd kind of roughly said that on a normal 24-hour day, Theo goes through roughly 8 nappies now.
Yeah.
Or we give him 8 changes. He probably could go through a lot more nappies, quite honestly.
Probably.
But we probably give him about 8 changes. And so we carried kind of 15 or 16 nappies. And we'd said we were happy to buy most of our nappies over here.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, very happy to buy them over here.
Yeah, very happy to buy them. But we wanted to at least make sure again that we had good cover for at least a couple of days. And
Yes.
and I feel pretty good about the number we carried.
Me too.
We also had a couple in the case as well.
Yeah, we had a couple.
So we had a little bit of extra cover, but really and truly 2 days worth of his normal nappies was fine.
And it's one of those things that you really don't want to not have enough of.
No, I think that's
Because
absolutely
for
right.
Theo's comfort, and they're so small, they don't take up that much room. There's just no point being short.
So the one thing I would say, I completely agree with you. So I would say if you're going to make sure you're not compromising, don't compromise on the number of nappies or on the amount of food.
Yes.
Because those are just 2 things you can't just pick up and sort out. Anything else, frankly, is probably just about you can make it work. You can kind of fudge it if you need to.
It's true.
But nappies and food,
You can't.
can't. And then the other thing that was essential, and genuinely, you're laughing because I love these things. These Milton wipes are unbelievable, and the reason they're so good is because look, we all know that that planes aren't always the cleanest place anyway. So normally we would all kind of clean the area around us. I mean, look, I'm going to confess. You know, when I'm offered a hot towel, I clean myself and then kind of give everywhere else a bit of a dust down as well, right?
Definitely.
But what we did with Theo, because when we did the pre-boarding, we made sure we wiped down everything around us.
Yes.
Because he's at the kind of age now where he tends to eat everything. So we wiped down everything around us. We also were obviously aware his bits and pieces would be in contact with those surfaces. So we wiped those. But then with the Milton wipes, you can actually also clean his dummies and toys, and they can be used again. So this was a great saver for us because he's a very chatty child, as you can tell. So his dummy's always dropping basically.
Yeah, it's always coming out of his mouth and ended up on the floor.
Right, and so we're normally always looking for kind of some hot water from somewhere, but it's really inconvenient on a plane. Whereas with the Milton wipes, it really is it really is as simple as taking these to wipe down those surfaces. So that for me was a massive. It was just a massive confidence booster because I just knew you could be a little bit more relaxed with him, and then still just be able to easily wipe down whatever he was in contact with.
It's also a bit of a space saver because I was thinking to myself, Theo does spit out his dummies and things to end up on the floor, and so I was thinking, the number of dummies that I'd have to take so that he's got enough. But actually, with the wipes, you just take a few packs of dummies and that you can wipe them.
That's a great point.
You can wipe them down.
We were we kind of had dummies all over the place, quite honestly. But we only ended up using maybe like 2 packs, which is 2 packs of 2.
Yeah, so 4 dummies.
Yeah, we only ended up really using 4 dummies, and we didn't even need to. I think we just used 4 because we kind of got halfway through, and I thought, well, may as well change them.
Yes.
Hello.
And they also don't have a funny taste. I did test it because I was a bit sceptical about.
We both had to test it.
wiping these surface wipes on Theo's dummy and then put it in his mouth. So I did test it, and they don't have a horrible flavour.
That is very true. So I mean, so this is a great thing to do. So you have your travel nappy changing kit, which is basically everything you need in a makeup bag with handles.
Which, because the bag has got handles as well, you can just use it as a nappy bag when you're here. You don't need a
yeah, of course. So look, just to be very clear, when we say travel nappy changing, this is fully every single day that we go out. This is our nappy changing bag, just to be 100% clear. So you have absolutely recommend your travel changing bag with absolutely everything you need in it in a bag with handles. And that is, you're completely versatile, everything you need in there, and it's easy to see exactly what you're missing so you can top up.
Definitely. We're saying
a travel call bag, and what we tend to do, and this can actually work really well, this is the Anton here, is we have folding bags. I mean, this bag genuinely pretty much folds up to the size of a bottle.
Yeah, it's like a 500ml bottle of water.
And we each have one of these, mine is slightly bigger, and we basically just take these out with us wherever we go with his stuff and our stuff. Usually it's kind of his stuff and our water, basically. Yeah. And we make sure we have one cool bag. So say, for example, we go out for a day, we'll have a cool bag that sits there with a few bottles, maybe like 2. Oh, no, sorry, about 3 bottles.
Yeah, about 3 bottles, because that lasts...
Maybe 3 bottles.
Quite a long time during the day.
Plus, we'd have a thermos, 3 bottles, not made up, but 3 bottles with powder.
Yeah.
And we would have maybe 2 or 3 of the ready mix milks. So kind of when you put it all together, he's actually got quite a lot of feeds, and that's just for going out. You know, obviously back in our room and stuff, we'd have a load more.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, we would.
So, but I mean, that's just for going out, and that's again, it's just to cover us basically. Yeah. You know, we do carry our normal bottles, so the normal bottle that we normally use the Tommy Tippies. Just happens to be the ones that we bought originally.
And we sterilise those. Using the cold water sterilisation.
Absolutely, and I'm going to go and grab what we use in a minute actually. But these steri feeds, you can actually sterilise them and get multiple use out of them.
Reuse them.
So it is actually a pretty decent thing to carry. I'm just going to quickly show you our sterilising thing because I think it's pretty good. Yeah,
so as we said, we use we've got the electric steam steriliser at home, but to travel with, the cold water sterilisation is actually really, really easy and quite convenient. So Jermaine's bringing it over now, but all you really need...
I've got to be careful because it's full.
Yeah, because it's full. We've got the stuff in here sterilising.
Go on, you explain it whilst I hold it.
So we bought So what you need is you need one kind of sterilisation tablet and 5 litres of water.
So we've got here in front a 6 litre, big plastic 6 litre tub. Again, just pretty standard Amazon order.
It is from Amazon.
You can see it's filled. 5 litres of water in it. And from your supermarket, you can just buy these Milton sterilising tablets, right?
And you just put 1 in there. Everything's sterilised in 15 minutes, and you can actually leave everything in there until you need to use it. No need to rinse it, no need to dry it. You just take it straight out and use it straight away. And the stuff can stay in there for 24 hours. You just replace the water in the tablets every 24 hours.
Yeah. So for us, like, it's
so easy.
Every evening, I pretty much just get all of Theo's stuff. So mostly bottles and dummies. Yeah. Just get them all together, wash them. We've got a bottle brush and a really small container of just washing up liquid that we brought from home. We'd wash those in that container as well, actually. Rinse everything out in the container. Refill the container with 5 litres of water. Pop a tablet in and leave it overnight. Yeah. And so first thing in the morning, we've then got his kind of 5 or 6 bottles and dummies fully sterilised. And then normally, whilst Leanne's on kind of dressing duty, I'll get the bottles made up for the day. It really couldn't be simpler. But I mean that's just a general travel tip which we found brilliant, and we could probably actually go into a bit more detail actually on some of the things that we do when we're travelling around that make things easier. But let's just keep focused on
the actual travelling to your
Yeah, try kind of getting to your destination,
Getting to your
really.
destination, that's right.
So we've kind of covered already, the whole kind of nature of feeding at home, the principles that we have about. Oops. All right, kid. About having about having a hands-free. Do you want to come to daddy, or are you okay? About trying to keep our hands free.
Yes.
About making sure that we're quite versatile. It's principles around Theo's feeding and his changing.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that we didn't talk about is the changes of clothes.
Yeah.
So we took spare clothes for Theo and we're trying to work out kind of how many changes of outfits that he may need. But we worked on the principle of having a change of clothes every time that he would eat, just so that's most likely the times when he may get himself a bit messy, or when we change his nappy, then we may see that there's been a leak or something. So because we're going for 9 hours, typically say 3 or 4 feet, that's how many changes of clothes we took for Theo.
Yeah, so I mean, if you think roughly that we had kind of a day's worth of feeding, which is 5 or 6 feeds.
Yes.
We did have about 5 or 6 spare outfits,
we did.
but you kept it simple, right? So Leanne's the one that put this all together, and it was pretty simply like kind of 3 baby grows and 2 kind of small outfits.
Yes.
So it really is it was really straightforward, and I think luckily we only needed to have 1 change of outfit.
Yes.
But the good thing is, and I would 100% do this again on any other flight. The good thing is that we were covered. If we had any issue, we have got so many different bits of kit for this guy. We would have been really covered.
It's true.
He's getting tired.
Okay, and it may not happen that often, but just say your luggage got lost or something like that. At least we know that we have some stuff for Theo in his hand luggage as well, so that we could at least put him to bed.
100%. That's a great example, because we've been there before, where luggage has been lost.
Yes.
And you're right, and it's the point that we were making earlier, which is that when you're travelling with your youngster, you're not just thinking, what do I need for that one day? It's kind of looking and thinking, what do I need for the 24 hours after, just in case something goes wrong, or just in case, frankly, you might just be too tired to unpack your cases, and you want to just know that you've got your stuff to hand.
That is actually a great point, because depending on what time you land and you get to your hotel, you may just want to. Okay. You may just want to put him straight to bed.
That's it.
So I think that's probably everything that we had in terms of his hand luggage.
Yeah. So those are the big things for us in terms of making sure he was clothed, fed, watered, and entertained.
Yes.
So that worked really well. I mean, the other kind of key aspect of the whole transport was actually getting him around.
Yes.
Right?
It's true.
It was actually getting him around.
Bucky.
So the thing that we just want to show here is, I know a lot of people either tend to have, is it a sling? Is that what?
Yeah, a sling or a carrier.
So a lot of people tend to have a carrier when transporting baby, and they then would also have a stroller. So we normally have a stroller, and would have carried a stroller ordinarily. Okay, Bunky. We would have carried a stroller ordinarily, but what was recommended by friends of ours is this Baby Zen yo-yo, and it's a folding buggy. Hang on, I'm not.
We try and do justice to the size of it, because it is tiny.
It is absolutely tiny. It actually
folded.
folds up smaller than a case, and it is a full size stroller. It is a full size but compact stroller, which we were recommended, and the huge benefit is that we had literally, from the time that we parked up the car, or from the time that we were dropped off at Gatwick, and we then had to kind of move with Theo from the car through to the family terminal. They've got like an accessible security channel. We had him in the stroller for that. Now, when the stroller, we actually kept the stroller up at that point, but we could easily have put it down and put it straight through the scanner. That would have been fine.
Yes.
But then when we got out the other side, we literally had Theo in that stroller all the way up until the plane doors. And rather than have to have the inconvenience of dropping off the stroller and then, or checking it.
Yeah, then to put it in the hold.
We literally could just take the thing. I could put it straight in the overhead locker. And the best thing, and that was smooth as anything, it literally collapses and expands within 5 seconds.
And you could do it one-handed.
And you can expand it one-handed,
Yeah.
but you need 2 to collapse. But the very best thing was the point at which we landed. We got off the plane. I went a few steps ahead of Leanne and Theo, literally a few steps ahead, stood to one side. I'd already had the stroller unclipped, could shake it, and the whole thing popped open. So then Leanne could just get him straight in the stroller. And so our journey through then kind of to immigration and passport control, it was much easier.
Yeah.
Because we just had so much confidence that he was in his own space. If he was tired, it was a lot easier for him to rest. And it meant that for us, when we, even when you're doing things like your fingerprints, careful because his head's here. Even when you're doing things like fingerprints, you're not having to worry about kind of anyone or anything in your way. It was a lot more comfortable for him and for us.
It buys you some space, doesn't it, when you've got the buggy?
Yeah, it was massively convenient. And so that's a brilliant purchase. And then what it's meant is that, and it is literally as simple as also having a strap.
Yeah.
I carry that over my shoulder a bit like a handbag, and it just meant that even when we were out and about, and we were in you're kind of going out and about and you're shopping and things, just really simple. And it's just one less thing that we need to kind of think to ourselves. Be careful because his head is there. It's one less thing that we need to kind of think to ourselves that we're kind of lugging around. Then it just as I say, just goes over the shoulder really.
Yeah, it's probably a tad on the expensive side, but it's so if you just
it depends.
But I think you can. It's a good enough stroller that you could actually use it as your normal stroller from when your baby's
I think
like
that's
6
kind
months
of the key.
old.
Yeah. Go on, sorry, please.
So no, I was going to say, because it folds up so small, it can just fit in any boot so easily with anything else that you've got in there. So.
Yeah, I would say it's expensive if you're using it just as a travel buggy. If it's your kind of everyday, or if you want more versatility from it, then it's brilliant. It's fine, and it covers you for quite a few years. So you're not going to kind of waste your money. And the other thing that Leanne had said to me before, actually, and I think it's a brilliant point, is that if you have a small car, it can be, and I've seen it with our niece, an absolute nightmare to get a big full-size stroller into a tiny car.
It's very true. She had to put like seats down.
Oh, it was
and
crazy.
Like that to get.
It was crazy. It was like playing a game of Tetris at times, and I applaud her for doing it. But it was just so difficult. I think at least with this, even if you're driving genuinely a Fiat 500, which is the smallest car I can think of, you can fold this down, put it in the boot, and still have room for your shopping.
Definitely.
And then when you get out the other end, you expand it, you pop it open, and bang. You've got a full stroller ready to go. So we'll try and put links to it, and I think it's probably worth, when we can, giving like a fuller shot, so you can actually see just how easy it is to put the buggy together, and kind of put it down again maybe.
Yeah, I think we've been really impressed with it. It's the first kind of time that we've used it is on this trip, and yeah, we've both been really impressed. Massively impressed. So much so I wish I didn't buy my stroller and just had this thing. But there you go. It kind of is what it is. It is from 6 months.
Yeah.
Plus, we were comfortable putting Theo in there because he can sit supported and hold his head well. So
yeah, that's a very good point as well, actually. And then go on. Are you going to say that? Because
I was going to say the other thing that we should probably talk about is car seats.
That's what I was going to say as well.
Okay.
So that's good. So that's good timing. And I think that's probably the kind of the last big thing that we really thought about. Was that we were considering whether to bring Theo's car seat with us.
Yes.
And it could easily have gone either way. I think it probably would have gone slightly against the principles of being versatile.
Yeah, because it's obviously quite a bulky thing to carry.
Yeah, and it's probably worth just giving a bit of context, which is that we had 4 cases in total. So we checked 3 bags. We had 1 bag that we took in the cabin, which was pretty much Theo's bag.
Yeah.
And then we had 2 backpacks each. That's 6 bags total.
1 backpack each.
Sorry, we had one backpack each. So that's 6 bags in total. And because of the way we'd set up our principles, we got to a point where when we were actually going to the rental car and we had to do a fair bit of walking, Leanne was pushing Theo in, and we had his buggy, so that's 7 items.
7 items we had.
But it was the case that Leanne was pushing Theo in the buggy and she had her backpack on her back. And then I could be there quite comfortably with my backpack on my back and 2 cases per hand. and could push those comfortably. But the key thing with those cases, everything is now 4 wheels. Right, because we had previously been a little bit indifferent actually about 2 or 4 wheels, very indifferent. And most of our old stuff is all 2 wheels.
Yeah, that's
but I would definitely say if you are travelling and you're buying your cases, okay, Bunk, buy 4 wheels, because you know if you're sturdy enough, you can quite easily push 2 4-wheel cases per hand, just kind of have them back to back, the flat backs to each other,
and just hold the handles.
And hold the handles, and you can kind of push. I could push 4 cases without kind of much headache, and I had the backpack on my back. So we could move basically with 7 items and be confident that Theo was still getting kind of 100% care, because Leanne didn't have anything in her hands other than the buggy. And if she ever had to tend to him, she could just do that in the confidence that I had the cases. And so I think it was a good reason we didn't bring the car seat for that reason.
Yes, for us.
It would have been
I would have had to have carried something.
You had to have done that, and then you would have had to split your attention from Theo.
Yes.
But then the other thing is about the laws around car seats in different countries. So we hadn't known this until one of our cousins had flagged this when she had moved to Australia, which is that the laws around car seats, they actually differ in different countries. I'm not sure if it's kind of unified within the EU. I'm not too sure if it's different, but once she told us the laws were different, we've decided that we're just going to rent a car seat or buy one in whichever location we find ourselves, just to be compliant. Now, I'm not saying it's actually a good idea, but what we do find is we also tend to kind of have a car a little bit less now.
Yeah, we do.
All right, because I'd rather not drive quite as much with Theo. We'd rather kind of be in one place and have the adventure of public transport, or kind of, or walk a bit more with him, ideally, really, and so. Yes. Right.
Yeah. So in most car rental places, you can just rent them for different ages.
Correct. Now, one thing that you might want to consider is that, I mean, a lot of the people that we know who travel, particularly long haul, tend to come to America, and so we know, and we have actually purchased in a shop called Target. Oh no, it was a Walgreens, wasn't it? Walmart. Sorry, I always get these things mixed up. But Target and Walmart are quite similar, and they tend to be shops that sell like a bit of everything. It's a bit like a Tesco Express.
Yeah, like a supercentre.
It's exactly what it is actually. It's just like a Tesco Express. So think of Target and Walmart, the large ones, as like Tesco Express. And we purchased I think it's for about $60, a car seat and a base, which is compliant in America. And what we will do is we will then take that home with us, and so when we travel here to America again, we will then have our compliant car seat so we won't have to buy it again. So I think for $60, quite honestly, that's probably quite cheap, because if you go for like a regular meal in a lot of places, you could quite easily get like over a $60 check for 2 or 3 people.
It's very true, and depending on how long you maybe hire a car for, you have a daily fee for the car seat that you hire, and you could probably spend a lot more than $60 on the fees.
So that's really true. So if you don't carry your own car seat, that's completely true. I think it's, from what we've seen, it's about $15 per day, it all in, to hire a car seat, and we bought one for $60. So if you're, so within 4 days, the car seat kind of pays for itself. Yeah. So I think that's a pretty good one to be compliant, but also to save a bit of money.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Get your car seat locally.
There is one thing to note though with our experience from renting. We rented from Hertz and the car seat, and they give you the car seat and you have to fit it yourself. And they say for liability reasons they're not allowed to fit it for you or even tell you how you should fit it. Yeah. And you have to do it all yourself. So yeah, we got given a car seat and a base, which was very different to the one that we have for Theo at home.
So I think just kind of keep that in mind, and if you are going to get your car seat locally, ideally just have a phone that honestly can just connect to the Wi-Fi, or that you've got minutes on. So I know like Vodafone, 3, and probably others, they let you have all your minutes and stuff. So just jump on the internet, look at the make of seat that they've given you, and just get and probably actually just go on YouTube. And you either find the instructions or go on YouTube and get a video
on how you fit it,
showing you how to fit it. Because I think for us, I was genuinely a little bit shocked.
Me too.
And and I said, I exclaimed. I said, "Look, guys, what are you talking about here? This is my kid. You've got to help me make sure he's secure." And I was pretty shocked and honestly a bit disappointed by by that experience. So just kind of be mindful of that. I think.
I just assumed that we'd get our car and it would already be fitted in there.
Which is a reasonable
and all
assumption.
that I had to do was put Theo in.
But I think we said yesterday it's a reasonable assumption, but it is probably the perfect assumption to show you why this level of prep for travelling is so useful. Like when it comes to when it comes to your child, you don't want to make any assumptions. And when it comes to your child, quite honestly, you just want everything to kind of work out really well and have a really high degree of confidence, because we had no idea how the flight would have gone, and I know a lot of people don't have any idea either. So we tried to remove a bit of the question marks by being really well stocked with his food and with his changing and with his clothes and with his toys, by making sure that we kind of we thought we did the best thing in terms of hiring the car seat and also getting things like the buggy, because it's just a way of, for us, making sure he's got a little bit more comfort. Turn your head, Bonk. Making sure he's got a little bit more comfort and making sure that we're a little bit more confident about how we kind of move around. And you see that we've got our fold-up bags. We always carry pouches, so we never ever have anything in our hands. And you've seen kind of in this video, we're kind of always passing him backwards and forwards a little bit. And I think that kind of seems to work pretty well also.
Yeah, and the stuff that we have for him, like the call bags and the changing bags, they just double up to be used when we're here as well. So
and it pays dividends in hot climates, because you're genuinely not feeling confident about, say, having your bottles out and keeping them at room temp. Whereas, where we've got these cool bags, you can just easily have everything quite cold. You put a chiller pack in there, and you are really getting a few hours worth of extra time. Or we carry a thermos as well, so you can make up your bottles as you go. And again, it just makes things a little bit simpler. Now, go on.
No, I was going to say, I think that was quite a big point, wasn't it? It's just having having everything all within Theo's one bag, but things in separate bags. So whatever you need, you just pull out that one bag, like his cool bag or his changing bag, and you just have everything you need. Well,
that's it. And I think, like, when you're on a plane, I mean, we all know that the space, there's not much space. So so we wanted to have a way of making sure we could easily, whenever we knew he was hungry, get one bag. Needs to change, get one bag. Needs to play, get one bag. But you try and limit things so you don't have too much space to get around, or you don't really have too much that you can lose. Quite honestly. Yeah,
nothing's loose. It's all within a bag.
Within a bag. So that kind of prep and compartmentalising, I think, made a big difference.
I really think it did.
And we also found actually that once we'd landed, so we actually flew into Fort Lauderdale. And we had to get a car and then do a 3-hour kind of 200 odd mile drive straight shot up into Orlando. And so we did that. Oh, okay. We did that in one hit. You can see our little guys getting tired. But we're almost at the end of but we did that in kind of one hit. And what was brilliant was that once we'd loaded up our 4 bags and our 2 backpacks and the buggy into the back of the car, I mean, it was filled. Once we'd loaded everything up, I could still once we'd figured out what Theo would need, i.e. his changing bag and his food, we literally had, genuinely, for that whole 3-hour drive, we just had these 2 bags. That was it.
And we were set.
You don't need anything else.
We don't need everything else. We're confident that we can look after.
Because we had our wallets, our phones, and passports on us. We had those 2 bags, the young guys in the car seat, and that was pretty much it. So I mean that for us was how we did long haul travel, and I think if we were to do it again, my view is I probably wouldn't change anything.
No, I really don't think I would change anything at all. Because even when, say, we didn't use all of his clothes or use all of his bottles or anything like that, it's nice to know that you have it, and we did then use it when we got here. Correct.
And I think having that degree of reassurance is really, really useful. And I think had anything gone wrong, or had we been delayed, or had we broken down, or anything, I know we would have had enough on hand to feel really confident about how Theo was going to get taken care of. And I think that, for me, that for me as a parent is, one of the ultimate things.
Yeah.
Like, I need to just make sure his welfare. I don't want to think about too much about looking after him. Everything should be there kind of to hand. And then you kind of add in the flexibility that things like the babies then give you.
Yes.
And I think you start to really get some really great benefits from it. So yeah, I think we did really well. If we went short haul, I'd suggest we probably just cut everything in half.
Yeah.
Probably
In
no
terms
more
of-
than that.
Yeah, the
Our
food
volumes.
and yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I take exactly the same things, but just less of it because you have a shorter duration.
Yeah, because I think if you're, my view is that the minimum distance for kind of long haul is kind of like Boston or New York, where you're talking about kind of 5.5 to 6.5 hours.
Yeah.
That's the minimum, and that covers quite a lot of places. Certainly the place that I know that our friends and family would go to. So place on the east coast of America or places like Dubai, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of roughly 5.5 to 6.5 hours. When you're going for anything longer, so Orlando's kind of 9 hours. We've got this volume for 9 hours.
Yeah.
If we were going for somewhere like 11 hours,
Like LA or something.
say LA, San Francisco,
Yeah,
Vegas,
that's very
you
true.
pick any of them. My gut feeling is we'd probably bump everything up by close to 50%.
I think so, just to give you that extra.
Just to give you that
bit.
extra bit of cover. Right?
Because I think the same principles applies. You want enough for the flight, but also if there are any delays, plus to get to your hotel, and maybe even just to sort you out until the morning. Because if the baby's tired and you want to put them to bed, then you don't want to be having to unpack suitcases first before you can do that. You just want everything on hand.
Absolutely. So maybe it's actually we're kind of like drifting into getting a bit of a rough rule of thumb here, which is that it's on my gut feeling. If you go for anything less than about 5 hours, I would probably pack for half a day of what baby would usually take. Thereabouts.
Yeah, I think so.
If you go for anything, I think kind of 6 hours upwards, so say you're going into the east coast of America or somewhere like Dubai, I'd probably be looking to pack for roughly 1 day's worth of stuff.
Yeah, for 24 hours.
24 hours worth of stuff, because then that covers all of your travel time either side, all your transfer times, all your time waiting in the airport, and it covers you for a little bit of time when you get to your destination. And then I think if you go for anything longer, say you go for something like really long, like you are going to say like LA, where you might be looking at kind of nearer a 12-hour travel time. My gut feelings, I'd pack for kind of just under a day and a half.
Yeah, me too. I really would.
I'd take stuff for just under a day and a half, because then it just covers you. Kind of things can get damaged, spilled, contaminated, whatever it may be.
Yeah, well, you only have to have like a flight delay at the airport.
Oh yeah.
And you've got you're delayed for 3 hours. That could be like 2 extra fees that you need to do
Absolutely.
for your baby. So you need to be covered for those things.
Absolutely. So just have enough to kind of cover. And I think as a kind of rule of thumb, that for me broadly feels okay.
Yeah,
Obviously
I feel
you'd flex it,
comfortable.
right? Obviously you'd flex it, but certainly if you're doing kind of 9 hours upwards, if you're packing for 24 hours, I would suggest that we found it really comfortable to not only do the trip, but to kind of get through our first morning.
Yes.
Once we had that, and it wasn't until we kind of got to the late afternoon where we needed to start thinking about getting anything for him.
It's very true.
So there you go, folks. I think that is how we would that would probably be our tips for long haul travel.
I really think so.
And we've kind of covered a bit of short haul there as well, unknowingly.
And a bit to do in your hotel room with the sterilisation and stuff like that. So hopefully those bits are useful as well.
That's it. We should probably kind of look at that in a little bit more detail. We've
so.
got lots of little odds and sods that do actually make things a bit easier.
Your hotel room.
Yeah. So we've got kind of at home a holdall which basically has everything that we feel if we were to go to any hotel room and need to have a portable sterilising and baby management centre,
food making,
we can kind of do that, and that includes things like extension leads, own kettles, bottle warmers, travel bottles, sterilisation units.
Yeah. We should do a video on that. I think it'd be useful.
We should. Travel bath. It's very funny, some of the ways we find to kind of get around common problems. And actually, I'm going to show you this, my favourite thing for today. Hang on a minute.
I think I know what he's going to show you, and it's very funny. Okay, yeah, it is.
So,
I will let Jermaine do the big reveal of this one.
This is the big reveal. So one of the things that we find, you obviously got to bathe your baby, and we haven't got Theo's normal bath with us. And to buy a travel bath it's not actually worth spending kind of lots of money on it if you're just going to use something for a relatively short period of time.
Yeah, because they're quite bulky, so you may not want to take it home with you in a suitcase. It would take up a lot of
Correct.
room. And our hotel actually only has a shower, so it's not like we could even run him a proper full-size bath and just
Correct.
put him in there.
So what we've got, if you see this,
Mind you out of the way.
sorry, Bunko, I'm not hitting your head. For the grand sum of $2, we have got this huge foam container. Now this, if I'm correct, this thing is intended to hold something like 24 beers or something like this. But for us, this is going to end up being a kind of a bit of a portable travel bath for Theo, because it's something that we can kind of safely run the water, set his temperatures, kind of put him in and give him a little bit of a bath. We bought 2 of them. I spent $4. We can give him a bit of a bath. And you know, we're lucky because it's the 2 of us who are there with him. So we've only got a shower here, so we really needed something that we felt confident we could wash him in. And I'd rather not put him in a sink if we can avoid it. So we just bought these for $2. One of us is going to hold him in it. We'll have it filled up with, and we'll put a bit of his Aveeno stuff in there, and we'll wash him down. And then the other one will just be some clean water, so no soap in it, and we'll just rinse him off. We've just got a little reusable cup. We like our reusable cups, and we've got a clean one for Theo, and we'll just use that and just wash him off.
Yeah, which is great for washing his hair.
He'll get it. His hair gets washed every day. He insists on having his hair washed every day, and we'll wash his body, and that'll be it. And so you can see for $2, you know, we bought his cosmetics with us, and we've got this little thing here. And so now the next time we come to America, we will know $2. And we've got a travel bath ready to go.
Yes.
So these are the kind of things that we're doing, just to try and make this whole big old job a little bit easier. And we'll just keep sharing these things, I think, as much as we can.
I think so, as we keep learning.
Yeah, exactly. But I think there's a point where this guy's going to get so big, I can't chuck him in my beer cooler anymore. But for now, he's small enough that he can go in, so that's fine.
That's very true.
That's fine. He's not very fussy either. He's, as you can see, he's so long as he's got. Well, look, he's just staring at Mummy longingly. So long as he's got one of us around, he tends to be pretty chilled out. Look, I think that's it.
I think that's it. Hopefully, it's useful.
Yeah, definitely. But look, as ever, if you've got any comments or questions or any of your own experience and reflections and you want to share with us, please do so. A really big thing for us is, you know, we're really trying to produce as much share as much helpful information as we can.
Yes.
From all the little bits and pieces that we're kind of reading about. So if there's anything that you really want to know about, please just add it in the comments and make sure you let us know, right?
Yeah. Oh, completely.
And a big thing for us, if you're able to help us, is please hit the subscribe button and hit the like button, because that's one of the best ways for us to kind of get your feedback and know that what we're producing and what we're trying to share and how we're trying to share it is actually helpful. So please give us that feedback and that support. Please hit the subscribe button and the like button. And if you've got any of your own experience or comments, please share it.
Yeah. So we're all learning
massively
through this, aren't we? And so we'll share with you our tips. But honestly, if you have got any tips for yourself, we'd love to hear them, because we're always looking to learn kind of better ways, easier ways of doing things that give Theo a better experience and us a good experience as well.
Massively, and we're really keen on travel. So I think the more we can, and I know this is a big topic for a lot of parents, right? Especially when you do your first trip.
Yeah, and it's not something that you do every day, isn't it? So it's not something that you can kind of keep practicing to get right. You kind of it needs a lot of thought from the beginning. It's not like you do it every day.
When we decided on a trip, the first thing we said was we don't know where to start. No. So hopefully for anybody out there, this is a good start point for you. And you know, we'll do some follow-ups definitely on kind of our like baby management centre is what I think I called it, our baby management centre tips kind of thing. So we'll definitely make sure we do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We will. I think that'd be useful.
Awesome. Well, guys, have an amazing day.
Yes.
Hope you've had an amazing weekend. We really enjoyed doing this video. We've really enjoyed sharing this experience and getting to relive this experience with you. Yeah, and I hope you have a brilliant, brilliant day.
Yes.
Right, we're going to sign out. We're going to say goodnight.
Yeah, I think that's all from us.
I think so. Mark, anything from you?
Are you still awake? So you're gonna.
Anything from you? Do you want to say? You want to say anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, look forward and say goodbye.
You're gonna say goodbye.
Look forward and say goodbye.
You're gonna say goodbye, darling.
All right, folks. Yeah, you're getting you're kind of getting a. Oh, there you go. There's a smile. All right, folks. See you later on. Really had a great time. Take care. Bye.